Hi there. In this video, I'm going to explain how to cite your sources, and this is just a beginner's guide. We are not going to be talking about MLA documentation, parenthetical citations, works cited pages, footnotes, all those things. What we are going to talk about are some really basic strategies you can use to make sure that you are giving credit where credit is due. So, to begin with, we need an imaginary assignment. Let's imagine that I'm going to write a report about someone important in American history. Well, it's February and that means it's Black History Month, so I'm thinking about someone like Rosa Parks and doing a little bit of research and writing about her. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go onto the internet and do a little searching. And I've just searched for all about Rosa Parks. You could search for Rosa Parks biography. It's totally up to you. But make sure that you're choosing sites that are reputable. So something that ends in .org or .co.uk, something like that instead of like a .com. And definitely you don't want to choose a site that was written by some other students. So I actually found a site that I thought was really useful, and this is a British site. That's what the co.uk means, and it's called History Learning Site, and it's giving me some information about Rosa Parks. And I liked a couple of things about this site. Number one, it includes a lot of links to information about other parts of Rosa Parks' life. Like one of the things she was involved in, the Montgomery bus boycott, you can click here to learn more about that. I also like that it has some pictures and some quotations, like some direct quotations from Rosa Parks. And if I'm being honest, I like that it's not super long. It seems like in a few minutes I could gather a lot of information. So here's my favorite strategy, and this is one that I talk to students about all the time. This is a strategy that got me through college. It is absolutely a surefire way to avoid plagiarism, and all plagiarism is using words or structures that are not unique to you. And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we are saying things in a way that is unique. So what I'm going to do is take a minute, read this website, gather information, and then when I'm done, I'm going to click back over to my Word document, and I'm just going to type off the top of my head everything I can remember about Rosa Parks without looking at the web page. Got that? Do not look at the web page, right? You could call this strategy kind of a study and dump strategy. So I'll be right back with you in a second, and I will have typed absolutely everything I can remember about Rosa Parks. Okay, here we go. I have typed a paragraph about what I think are the most important things in Rosa Parks' life, and here's what I've got. Rosa Parks is a very important figure in the American Civil Rights Movement. Many people look to her as one of the bravest examples of standing up for what is right. Parks lived during a time in America that many refer to as Jim Crow or segregation. During this time, African Americans didn't have many rights. They weren't allowed to vote, they were given an inferior education, and they weren't allowed all the same restaurants, movie theaters, or bathrooms. They were treated as second-class citizens, even though they paid their taxes, served in the military, and did many other things that benefited society. One of the things required of African Americans at this time is that they rode in the back of the bus if there were white people on board. Parks was arrested because she refused to give up her seat on the bus so that a white woman could sit down. Her arrest was one of the incidents that spurred the Montgomery bus boycott, an important event from the civil rights era. So you can see that I have some details, I have some facts, and I have a lot of explanation, things like about that time period in general. This is a mix of things I already knew about American history and about Rosa Parks, and some facts that I gathered from that website. So if this is the style of citing sources that you want to use, this kind of like study and dump, all you would need to do is come down here to the end of your paragraph, type the word source, and then I'm going to go back, copy the link, and then I'm going to go back to my document, and I am going to paste. And that would be enough, right? That's enough that I am not going to get in trouble for plagiarizing. I have definitely cited my source. I know that I have not used anyone's words because I wasn't even looking at any other information when I typed this. However, if you want to try using some in-text references and going back and forth and really looking at the passage to write your summary or to write your essay, let me give you some tricks about how to do that as well. So one of my favorite transition words for citing sources, transition phrases I should say, is according to, right? According to is very useful. It gives you an opportunity to say where you found the information, and you can use it before a quote or a paraphrase. The difference between a quote and a paraphrase is that a quote is when you use the author's exact words. A paraphrase is when you use the author's idea, but in your own words. You might also use something called a summary, which is where you take an author's big and complex idea and make it simple. Again, in your own words. So in order to quote the author's exact words, here's what you might do. I did find a quote in this article about Parks' level of education, right? That she went to an all-black college, the Alabama State College. And if I want to include that in what I'm writing, I want to copy it, okay, and I want to paste it. So I might put it here. During this time, African Americans didn't have any rights. They weren't allowed to vote. They were treated as second-class citizens. Okay. Many people during this time believed that African Americans were uneducated. However, according to, do you see my according to? According to the website historylearningsite.co.uk, Rosa Parks, here's my quote, went to an all-black college, the Alabama State College, period, end quote. I notice it came in a slightly different size, so I'm going to fix that. Okay, I've said where it came from, I use the author's exact words, and I put it in quotes. If you want to paraphrase, you'll do something very similar. One of the other things that I learned from that website is that what Rosa Parks did, even though it was very brave, it made some people really angry, and her family actually had to move away to escape people who would really had wanted to kill her. So I want to paraphrase that information, and it's such specific information, I want to make sure that I'm saying where it came from. Her arrest was one of the incidents that spurred the Montgomery bus boycott, another important event from the civil rights area. Eventually, well, let's go back and see what it said. It said, okay, the success of the bus boycott and the decision by the Supreme Court did change Montgomery, but it also made Parks enemies. She and her family moved to Detroit to escape racists. Okay, so they moved to Detroit to escape racists. If I'm going to paraphrase that, I need to make sure I put it in my own words. So here goes. It also made Parks enemies. She and her family moved to Detroit to escape racists. Eventually, even though many people viewed Parks as a hero, or heroine, she was forced to move far away from her home to Detroit. She made this decision because she knew that there were racists who wanted to kill her. So eventually, though, I'm going to again say where it came from here. So this time I might say the website, here it is, I'm going to copy it again. The website historylearningsite.co.uk explains that eventually, even though many people viewed her as a heroine, she was forced to move far away from her home to Detroit. Right, so here I used a different transition. I said this website explains that. Okay, I've already used according to, so I don't want to use both things. So I hope that this has given you an example that you can use for how to integrate your information, cite your sources. Just as a review, you can either give one citation at the bottom of a paragraph, or you can include your citations throughout the paragraph with phrases like according to or this website explains. And you can do that by either using a direct quote, a paraphrase, or a summary. If you have any more questions about this, please contact your teacher. Thanks so much for listening.